I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It's
Gets
gross.
the people going.
What's up, everyone? This is Clutch Sports Talk with me, your host, Ryan Flowers, bringing you another great episode today. Thank you for listening, for wherever you're at, in the car, home, chilling, hanging out with your friends, family, whatever it is. I got the stories that you guys want to hear, and I'm here to give them to you. And I appreciate you guys and all the support. But today, it's going to be a fun episode for me. You know why? I'm going to be talking to one of the most influential persons or people in my life, my father, and this is the Father's Day issue of Clutch Sports Talk with me, Ryan Flowers. He's going to stop by later on, and we're going to just kind of kick a few items around, talk to him a little bit about his life coming over as an immigrant from Belize and raising a son in a country in which the sports were different from the country that he actually was raised in. But we'll talk to him later. His name is William Flowers. He'll be on the show later on. And before I get started, I just want to kind of give a shout out to all the dads out there. Happy Father's Day to all of you, including myself. I guess I got to give myself a shout out. Dads, you know, we probably don't get the amount of love and attention that maybe moms do. And, you know, rightfully so. Mothers do a lot. But today, I want to show you guys a lot more love today because we do a lot as well, too. And during these trying times, I kind of go by this motto in my life. Kids and children necessarily don't always listen to their dads, but they watch their dads. So if you're a dad and you're thinking, you know what, my kids don't listen to me directly, that's cool, but they're watching you and they're making sure they see everything that you do. So continue to set that example, be a great example for your children, especially today on this Father's Day. I love being a father. I love my two beautiful children. They mean the world to me, and I am happy that they are mine, and I get to come home to them every day. So, again, happy Father's Day to all you guys out there. This episode is dedicated to all the fathers out in the world, so, hey, it's all good. But before my dad comes on, I want to kind of touch base a little bit about a subject that kind of came up last week or earlier this week. Kyrie Irving and the NBA. Now, the NBA has an issue, I think. And like most sports today, race will be an issue. You know, you have the NFL and the kneeling and the flag. And now the NBA has an issue now with the whole, should players come back to play and finish out the rest of the season? I will say this, the NBA has an issue, a bigger issue, I think, because unlike other sports, the NBA is a star-driven league. And what I mean by that is that NBA players have more of an impact socially, I think, sometimes. They control a lot of things. They control where they play, how they play, who they want to play with. Not too many leagues that employ or incorporate African Americans have that. And the NFL definitely has a lot of African Americans, but they don't have that type of pull that you see in the NBA. How many times you've seen an NFL player recently just say, you know what, I'm not playing today, or I'm not going to play for you guys anymore. I'm going to sit down, you trade me. And not only are you going to trade me, you're going to trade me to the team I want to go to. Rarely ever happens. So the NBA definitely has an issue in regards to, you know, what's going on in this country, and should most of, if not all the African Americans in the NBA sit out. And that's where Kyrie comes into play. So not too long ago, Kyrie Irving held a phone conference, a Zoom conference, I think it was, with over 100 players. And he basically laid out a plan of saying, you know what, guys, let's sit out. Let's not play the rest of the season. Because he felt like if they came back July 31st or whenever they're going to start up again, it's going to take away from the Black Lives Matter movement. And it's going to be a distraction, and basically the whole BLM will basically just be forgotten because everyone will be excited that a major sporting league will be back on TV, and therefore people won't pay necessarily the attention to the whole movement that's going on in this country. Now, I agree with parts of what Kyrie is saying, and I can respect his opinion. And he's got other players in the NBA that are on his side, and obviously, in all fairness, he has other players that are not on his side. You got guys like John Wall, Dwight Howard, Avery Bradley, who are like, yeah, man, like, I agree. Let's sit out. It's not worth it. Because people need to see some type of change or movement going on in order to keep this thing going. And then you have other players, on the other hand, that are like, no, we have to play. It's even more important that we do play. Especially guys like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, arguably the most prominent NBA player in the league today, not from a skill perspective, just from his impact in the world, socially, economically. He's saying, you know what? It's time to get back to work, guys. We gotta go win this championship. Now, here's the thing that I see an issue with and a problem. I have no problem with the message, but I do have a problem with the messengers. Kyrie Irving is he's not the most credible guy to lead some type of protest like this. This is a guy that says the world is flat. And for those of you who think the world is flat, thanks for listening, but gosh, come on. But anyway, he's been known to be a somewhat so-so teammate. Basically not the best guy to be leading this charge. And then you have other guys like John Wall and Dwight Howard who themselves are not like really, not to say they have bad reputations, but they're not the people that people want to follow. And I think in order for things to be impacted or to see some type of major change, to get the most impactful protest or stance, it has to come from an impactful person. And right now, LeBron is on board with playing. All the other major superstars are on board and playing. And Kyrie's like, no, we shouldn't play. But the funny thing is that Kyrie wouldn't even be playing anyway. He's sitting out the rest of the season anyway because he's hurt. So then to play devil's advocate, you have to say, well, Kyrie, if KD was all ready to go, you were healthy, would you guys be playing? Because you guys would probably be, second best or first in the East. You guys would be in contention. So I challenge his actual true beliefs. And does he really believe in what he's saying? Because right now, given the current situation, the Nets have no chance of winning an NBA championship. They're going to be in the playoff, but they're not going to win. Their two superstars are hurt and not even playing. So him saying he's going to sit out and protest is kind of like, well, you weren't even playing anyway. So yeah, it's easy for you to say, I'm going to sit out. And I think that's why people can't get on board with him because, dude, you weren't even going to play. Now, if LeBron, somebody like that came out and said, no, what, we're not playing any more games, we're going to sit out, then I think more people would be more inclined to say, you know what, yeah. I think Patrick Beverley had a quote not too long ago, a few days ago. He said, hey, if the king is playing, we all playing. Boom. That's it. Case closed. Sorry, Kyrie. But the NBA is going to have to be dealing with this now until whoever, because you've seen what's going on in this country. A lot of things are being, questioned, from our syrup bottles to rice to statues in this country, statues that have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's a lot of racial conflict going on in this country. And sports, although sports binds us together, it's also going to be affected. And like I said, I believe in what Kyrie is saying. And honestly, it might be a distraction. Because we're all going to be mostly happy to see the NBA, any type of major sport. Now, I get it, hockey and soccer, they'll be back. But overall, the NBA, with the exception of the NFL, the NBA will reign supreme until NFL comes back on in college football. Then we'll completely be distracted, and perhaps maybe a lot of this Black Lives Movement will die down. Maybe that's not the case. I don't know, but there's definitely going to be some changes here in the forefront that we have to kind of keep our eye on. And Kyrie, you know what? If he comes back healthy next year and decides to sit out, then I think maybe people will take that more into consideration and say, you know what? He actually did mean what he said. Excuse me. Well, but that's just my thought on that. The NBA is going to have to. Well, for the most part, I think the NBA does a good job of keeping their players happy. And believe me, I think that they consulted with a lot of the players in regards to this whole 22 team format before they even decided to lay out a plan and then discuss it and then actually present it to the world. So players had a lot of input in that. So, but we'll see. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to take my one and only break on this episode. But when I get back, you guys are going to meet my dad, William Flowers. It's going to be fun. I know he has a lot to say. If he's anything like me, or if I'm anything like him, we both have a lot to say. So, but anyway, we'll catch him on the next break. This is Clutch Sports Talk with Ryan Flowers. Let's go.
Hey everybody, this is Aubrey, and I want you guys to listen to my daddy's podcast called Clutch Sports Talk with Ryan Flowers. Let's go!
Welcome back to Clutch Sports Talk. This is Ryan Flowers, your host. If you hear that song in the back, it's a song that was requested by my next guest. He goes by the name of, actually, he's the man, the myth, the legend. He's my dad, William Flowers. What's going on, Dad? How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Ryan.
I got your song bumping for you, that Gerald Levert song. What's the name of the song?
The apple don't fall too far from the tree.
Right. So we just grooving to it as we come in from a break. But happy Father's Day. I know it's.
Thank you very much, son.
Appreciate it. So I want to get you on because obviously, it's a Father's Day edition, and what better way to kind of commemorate this day with doing a show with you.
Oh, that's great.
So what I want to kind of get to know is exactly what's your, obviously you love sports, you follow sports, you're an avid boxing fan, soccer, what other, football now, basketball as well, but take me into a little bit about your upbringing, as a youth growing up in Belize in regards to sports.
Yeah, well, growing up, my favorite sport was definitely soccer. Soccer is, we call it football in Belize, and that's the number one sport. So I used to play soccer at school. So that was my number one sport.
And when did you get into boxing?
When Cassius Clay started out, when he went to the Olympics, at that time, he was Cassius Clay before he came Muhammad Ali.
Right.
So I used to follow his fights.
And didn't he visit Belize one time?
Yes, he did. I remember very well. There was a lot of people that crowded the streets, and while his motorcade drove through the streets of Belize. And then when he went to the arena where he did his exhibition, it was partly empty. And he asked why. At that time it cost $20 to go and see the champ. And Belize is a third world country, and the people are poor, and very few people could afford $20 at that time to see the champ. So the champ said, "Let the people in to see the champ." So I went in. I was outside. I was outside the arena. I went in, and I got to see Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow, $20, man, that's a lot. I mean, that'd be a lot today for some people. I can imagine back then, $20.
Yeah, that was in the 60s. That was a lot of money for the average Belizean, man.
Right, for just to watch him. What was it like? Was it like a training session?
Yeah, he did an exhibition.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a Muslim group that brought him to Belize.
Wow.
I remember that very well, man.
Wow. That's crazy. All right, so fast forward a little bit. You moved to this country from Belize. What do you remember when you watched your first like NFL game?
Yes, it was in 1974.
Do you remember the game?
No, I don't remember the game exactly. I didn't understand the sport, period.
That's funny. So you're watching and you're like, they call this football? Like what?
I'm trying to learn, learn the game. I'm trying to learn the game. At first, man, the funny thing about it, I used to work in Westwood, right? Down the street from UCLA.
Right, I remember that.
Down the street from UCLA, and I would watch UCLA games, but I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes, trying to learn the game, and it was confusing at first. But once I learned the game, man, football is a great game.
Right. Especially now, now that you know what you're looking at now, and obviously you had a son that played and is still involved in football.
And then when you start playing, then I really got into it, and Mom got into it too.
Right.
Mom became a fan.
Right.
Mom became a football fan.
Well, let me ask you about this then. So you're not from this country. It's new. A lot of things are new to you. When did you decide? Obviously, you signed me up for baseball, but like, what was your whole thought process when you were raising me in regards to like, well, what sport should I try to get him into, and how did you know I wanted to play sports?
Well, I want to have an all-American son, so, and I want to introduce you to the different sports and baseball. I used to always see people with sons, and they have the little baseball, the pitchers, the baseball pitchers with their sons. And I wanted that. And so that's when I got into coaching too. I got into coaching because I want to coach my son. While I'm learning the game, I'm coaching my son.
Right.
And that's how I got into sports.
And so basically baseball was at the time probably like the most American thing to do with your son. And so therefore you probably was like, you know what, let's sign him up for baseball and we can try to do this whole American dream type of deal. Is that fair to say?
Oh, that most definitely.
Okay. So there really was that's pretty much the whole reason why I signed up for baseball.
I want an all-American son. It's funny. I used to follow American baseball when I was in Belize, and we used to listen on the radio to U.S. Armed Forces.
Uh-huh.
And they would broadcast the games, and I would listen to the Dodgers and Sandy Koufax. Dodgers was my team,
right?
Because for some reason that was the team that they used to announce the most. I don't know why. But I used to listen to the Armed Forces radio, and they would announce these games. And I remember Sandy Koufax, he was a hell of a pitcher.
Right. How come you never got me into soccer?
That wasn't an all-American sport.
or even boxing, two sports that you actually like.
Well, the boxing, and that would be between your mom and I. Your mom didn't want to born boxing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so you had to pick and choose your battles there. I understand.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Well, a happy wife is a happy life.
So you're new to this country. Yeah, you know a little bit about baseball. Tell me a little bit about like, how did you learn the game? What resources did you use to try to understand, and not even just coaching me, but coaching other strangers?
Well, I read books. And I just took it from there. I just read books, and try to, learn as much as I can as I went along. But see, I was coaching little kids, so it wasn't like I was coaching advanced kids.
Right. So you didn't need to go into too much detail. You just needed to make sure you just were nice and encouraging and
the basic. Teach them the basic.
Right, and make sure you brought the post game snacks.
Right, yeah. Mom took care of that. She was a team mom, and she would schedule it between the mothers who bring snacks and stuff like that.
Right. That's funny. And so, when did you decide we needed to go towards football?
Well, as you got older, I said, well, you tried baseball, you like baseball, you was good at baseball. I said, well, let me, open it up some more and introduce another sport. You already played basketball. You did baseball, basketball. Right. Now it's time to play football. And you was a hell of a football player too, though. See,
that's years ago now, though. That's long removed now. That's like almost, I don't know, 25 years.
But the funny thing about it, your first season playing football, you made All-Star.
Right. I remember All City, all that. I remember that.
Yeah. That was fun time, man. Every Saturday we used to travel, and then when you went into all cities and we'd be playing all over LA, playing in different
right
areas. Yeah, that was fun.
Right, definitely. So now if you had to pick out of all the sports, I know you still love boxing, but if you had to choose, if you were like, I don't know, on your last wish, what sporting event would you want to see?
Man, I would like to see a heavyweight fight. Well, heavyweight used to be the number one division. Now it's welterweight. But go to one of those big championship fights, the one that pay-per-view,
right,
Las Vegas, and you have all the celebrities.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Even over like the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl is great too, man. The Super Bowl is great, but
But nothing beats that heavyweight, like a heavyweight championship in Vegas.
I was originally a boxing fan. I the big fights like Triller and Manila, and the Ali and Joe Frazier, the first fight. If I could just be, it doesn't have to be ringside.
Right.
Just to be there, to be in that atmosphere, and feel the vibes.
Right. Okay. No, I can kind of see that. I've never been to a professional fight. I'm actually waiting for my first professional fight. I interviewed this young man not too long ago, War Machine, DJ Zamora. So I promised him that his first professional fight here in the States, I would try to be there. So I'm waiting for that to happen. Hopefully it'll occur soon. So if he's listening, I'm waiting, brother.
I catch your show, and I would like to see him fight too. So if and when he become a champion, I could always say, I remember when. Right.
So, okay, as a dad, a black father as well, what words of wisdom or encouragement do you have for, and I mean, not just black fathers, but fathers in general, like raising their sons today? What kind of advice could you give them potentially when they're raising their sons, in sports?
Well, in sports or in life in general, is to lead by example. Because you fathers or mothers, parents, you might see a lot of things and you go through 1 year or the next. But I'm going to tell you something, that children follow your footstep and they do what they see you do. In my case, I didn't realize it until I sat down and I looked back, and everything that I did, it seemed like you did it too. How you after high school, you went into the Navy, I went into the Army. You married at a young age and you raised your family. I did that. You like a mentor, a coach. Those are all the things that I did, and you are doing this. You are walking right in my footsteps. And I said, man, I'm so glad that I did positive things in my life. Because what if I had went the other way and did negative things? You probably would have followed that too, because you had probably thought that's the right thing to do.
Right.
So that is my advice.
Right. And and you're right. I think back at it, like, yeah, you're right. At the beginning of my show, I actually, what you just said about how maybe sometimes kids don't listen, but they see. And more specifically, I actually said a lot of kids don't listen to their dads. They listen more to the moms, but they follow and watch what their dads do. So it's important that you do set a good example, so that way, because your kids are always watching. And one thing I gotta always say is that, like, I always had a good example to look at. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And that's why I want to do this episode with you, because you have a little podcast. Well, I don't say little, but you have a podcast as well, which you started, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I have a little podcast. It's called Belizean in the Diaspora. And I try to talk about, different things, but mostly current events, social issues, politics, and stuff like that.
Okay. And you said it's called the Belizean Diaspora?
Yeah, Belizean in the Diaspora.
In the diaspora. Spell diaspora so my listeners can listen to that or check it out.
Diaspora, Diaspora.
Okay. And you can also, and you're on the Anchor podcast app as well. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, Dad, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much, not for just coming on, but everything that you've done for me and my sister's life. And I wouldn't have in any other way doing this episode with you for this Father's Day special. So,
well, I want to say I'm happy Father's Day to you too. And, man, you're a great gift from God, you and your sister. And, man, I can't have a better son than you. And I love you, man.
I love you too, Pop. So I'll talk to you later, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right, bye-bye. Well, that's the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. William K. Flowers. Man, I'm so grateful for him. Both my parents, but for Father's Day, I couldn't have someone more important in my life, outside of like athletes and stuff like that. I know we all look up to celebrities and athletes, but if you have, a father or someone who was that father figure in your life, call them, reach out to them, let them know you're grateful for them, because that's what this day is all about. But appreciate him coming on for the show. Hope you guys enjoyed us talking a little bit. I know we didn't kind of dive a lot into like the nitty gritty of sports, but I just thought it was just very important to just get him on and just hear his perspective. Him being an immigrant from Belize, his upbringing in sports, what his thought process was coming to America, raising a kid. So thanks again, Dad. I appreciate it. But before I go, you guys can catch up on all my other episodes. I'm located on the Anchor podcast app, Apple, Tuned In, Spotify. Look me up. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns on the show, you can hit me up on my Instagram page. It's clutch.sports.talk. And until next time, everyone. Oh, actually, before I get out, happy Father's Day to all you guys out there again. This is our day, guys. Enjoy it, celebrate it, be with your kids, love on them. But until next time, this is Clutch Sports Talk with Ryan Flowers. Never settle till the work is done. Let's go.